We have sirens each day, two, three, four, 5 times. You may not be participating in this war directly, but you do whatever you can to change the situation. Ukraine is not the only country where Russia invaded or annexed some territories. Uh, Georgia, Moldova, lots of countries. Janna chahta hoon, sunna chahta hoon. कि ट्रांसलेशन करोगे या नहीं करोगे?
Means that you have to fight your war yourself. Nobody will come to
It's
rescue
not the
you.
Ukraine's war. We did not attack anyone. It's the war that Russia started. So the world is suffering not because of the in Ukraine, where you could be 100% safe.
I want to now. I want to see your military cap. Show me. Show me
No,
the camera.
don't do this. Don't do this. Stop.
Good evening. We have a special guest today from Ukraine. She is very old friend of mine. Hello, Ola. How are you?
Hi, hello. I'm good, thank you. I'm not that old. Not that old. Yes,
It's we are more over towards the humanitarian side of this war rather than the political side of this war. So now Prime Minister Modi is in Ukraine. So how you and Ukrainians see this visit?
I cannot speak on behalf of each and every Ukrainian, but the way I see this, recently Modi visited Moscow, and the day. Um, it was the day we had a horrible air raid here in Kiev when Russia attacked the biggest hospital. I think that was the saturation point where your PM got to the point, well, I cannot be sitting here, I cannot be shaking hands with this person, and I have to show the world what we're standing with, what are our values. Last night, when he gave a speech, um, he mentioned that India was never neutral. Um, India is just staying away from war, but India was never neutral. So I see this visit um, as a proof, as a sign of not being neutral, um, that India's picked the side, but staying away from war, not not trying to intervene.
There is a lot of debate on this issue everywhere, especially in India when PM is in Ukraine. And hats off to Ukrainians. The whole world thought that this war will end in few months, but it extended to many years, and you people never no give up. A small country fighting to such a huge, like the world's one of the biggest powers. Sometimes we feel that he is giving up. So, what is the actual condition of war now?
Well, first of
I
all,
heard that Ukrainians, captured few thousand kilometers of Russian land.
yes, that is true. First of all, Ukraine is not that small. It's small compared to the size of Russia, but this is the biggest. This is the largest country in Europe. And
Really?
yes, this is the largest country in Europe, and of course, on the scale of India or Russia, Ukraine might seem as a small country, but this is the largest country in Europe, and the size of Ukraine is probably like 1/3 or 1/4 of India. So we're not that small.
But
And
it is advertised in such a way that, I mean, psychologically we think that it's very small country, but it's
uh,
not. We are wrong.
no, it's not that it's not that small. As I said, it is the largest. It is the largest country in Europe. Okay, the state of the war. It is important to understand that the war, the sense of war, is different, um, and it depends on where you are. It depends on where you live. It depends on where you work. Because if you live somewhere close to the front line, you're seeing one side of war. If you live somewhere close to the capital, you're seeing another side of the war. And if you live somewhere in the west of Ukraine, you're seeing a totally different side of the war. So Uh, I live in suburbs. I live close to Kyiv, and it's quite far from the front line. But we have air raids every night. We have air raids every night. Drones, missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles. Um, this is not the priority. I'm not gonna buy nice things. I'm not gonna travel. I'm not gonna get the taste of, I don't know, of life because there's war. And how am I supposed to celebrate my birthday or wedding when someone is dying there at the front line? Now, after 2.5 years of the full scale invasion, a lot of people have come to the point where they realize that no one is gonna give you this time back. No one is gonna reimburse you these years. And everyone is trying to maintain their balance between, you know, living a life and helping
Uh,
your country.
Ola, I want to visualize the migration in Ukraine. You know, I had more than 8 to 10 friends because of you and Alex and all, but I'm not in touch with any of them. After the war, all I don't know where they disappeared. They are not on social media on other places. So this horrifying migration inside Ukraine from one place to other place and outside the Ukraine. I mean, I heard that people migrated from Ukraine to the European countries and to other countries. Will you tell me something about that? How horrifying it is and how painful it is?
Well, this was back when Russia invaded in February, 2.5 years ago. So yes, a lot of people left Ukraine and went to some EU countries. I don't know the numbers.
But it's big. It's use numbers.
It's huge numbers. It's something about 7 million people, give it or take, but I don't know the accurate numbers. About, I believe it's about 7 million people, maybe more, that have not come back, that decided to stay in one of the EU countries, such as Poland, Germany, um, Estonia, Romania, Slovakia. All the EU countries have been offering their support and giving issuing temporary protection to Ukrainians. But again, you cannot blame anyone for not wanting to come back um, to a war zone. Not necessarily a war zone, but there's no place in Ukraine where you could be 100% safe because
Inside Ukraine also there was a big migration going on
well, not anymore. Not that was
in the
two.
starting of the war.
Yes. That was 2.5 years ago when it was a big shock for everyone, and it caused a wave of migration. People from the east or from central parts of Ukraine were migrating to the west, and then from there migrating to the EU countries. But it was back like 2.5 years ago. Um, we have a lot of we as Ukrainians here in Ukraine, we have a lot of people who migrated from the east of Ukraine to the center of Ukraine or the west of Ukraine, but it's not that the scale of migration is not that high right now compared to 2.5 years ago.
War is always horrifying, you know. It destroys heart and soul of people and a country. Uh, Tell something about the changes in the living condition, you know, when you before the war and after the war, after 2.5 years of continuous war, how the prices of the goods, how the scarcity of goods, living conditions, universities stopped working, all the day to day, you know, how it affected day to day life of person.
Um, when you think of war and when you think of Ukraine, you probably painting some pictures like deserted streets, closed restaurants, closed cinemas. Nothing is working, no lights, no gas, no electricity, nothing. Everyone is sitting inside their inside their houses, burning books, trying to keep themselves warm. But that's not the case. If we speak about regions that are um, relatively far from the front line, if we're not talking about the front line, but if we're talking about, let's say, the central part of Ukraine, it's just life here, normal life here. People go to work, people go to restaurants, people go to the cinemas, universities. Then, like, you just hear an air raid alert, and you decide for yourself um, if you're going to continue doing whatever you've been doing, or if you're just, will look for the closest shelter and wait there until the siren is over. But overall, in terms of in terms of life, it's people are living their lives. uh, they they go to restaurants, they go to cinemas, they play football.
And what
uh,
about the inflation? Inflation in prices.
well, of course there's inflation. I don't know the rate. Just like anywhere, it's not that just Ukraine is suffering from inflation. If you look at Europe,
Yes,
when
because of this war, whole world is suffering. That's true.
um,
You
well,
know, there was a discussion in media. I was listening with this Ukraine war that nobody fights your war. You have to fight by yourself, and this is the lesson and teachings Ukraine war gives, and Ukrainian gives the whole world.
see,
Do you think world supported autonomous country is attacked by a country, a bigger country, without any reasons, without any proper reasons? Do you think world supported you enough? World supported or helped Ukraine enough?
I want to make a comment. You said that the world is suffering because the Ukraine war. It's not the Ukraine's war. We did not attack anyone. It's the war that Russia started. So the world is suffering not because of the Ukrainian war, not because of Ukraine. It's because of Russia. It's because of
Yeah.
the war that Russia started.
So does world supported Ukraine enough?
Well, a world has a very broad meaning. What do you mean by world?
World, world means I'm talking about European Union, US, Australia, all those countries. I know there are countries who are taking sides, but apart from all these two, three, four countries, the rest of world is behind Ukraine. So do you think they supported them enough through military equipments in their fight, or Ukraine? My lines that you have to fight your war yourself. Nobody will come to rescue you.
Well, it's never enough. Um, we could be talking about anything, and it's never enough. But they do support us. They do support us greatly. There's no denying that. Yes, there are some countries in the EU that are trying to support the other side, act in the interest of the other side. But overall, they support us greatly.
Do you think this war will end soon? Soon? Is there any end to this war? Because now it's like keep on going and going and going, and there's no end of this war.
What is your definition of soon?
It's not about definition. Actually, the whole world want this war to stop.
Yes,
Wh-
I understand, but you know, your definition of soon and my definition of soon can be different. Like from my perspective, soon would be a year or two, where in your understanding, soon is a month or two. So, what is your definition of soon?
my definition of soon is today, maybe tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow.
It doesn't work that way.
I
Uh,
mean, in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, do you think it's going to end? No.
no, it's been 10 years.
10 years.
Yes, it's been 10 years since Russia annexed Crimea and occupied Lugansk and Donetsk Oblast. It's been 10 years. And then 2.5 years ago, they tried to, they tried to invade Ukraine and occupy a greater part of it. I don't think it's gonna end soon, as in a few days or a few months. In my understanding, a year or two uh, would be soon.
What I see in news that Ukraine is not ready to give any territory to Russia. That's one and all final decision. And Russia has their own ambitions. I don't know what they want. Nobody knows their ambitions, especially if their media is closed and political leaders are not, giving their views what they want exactly. I never understand why this war started. What is the reason of this war? Do you have any idea why this war started?
Uh,
Actually, I have friends both from Ukraine, very nice friends like you and friends in Russia. And now Russians are suffering more, they are facing inflation, they are facing shortage of goods. Sometimes I talk to them and they come, they keep abusing their governments and their political leaders.
First of all, you have no right to say that. You have not been in in a pair of shoes of any Ukrainian. You have no right to say that. You have no right to compare that. And it is unfair to say that Russians are suffering more. Um, they can go to bed without
Any
being
fear?
afraid, without being afraid that they or their family may not wake up the next morning. Like recently, you could see it in the news. A first responder in Ukraine arrived to his own home to put down the fire where his family died because of the Russian missile. I don't see that, happening to Russians. Inflation is everywhere in the world. And can you imagine Germans traveling the world during the World War II, traveling the world, enjoying their holidays, enjoying their vacations? What is the difference between now and then?
Yes, of
Uh,
course, there's a big difference. I'm talking about humanitarian side that they are not, they are also have problems because of war. But of course, there's a different level
my
of
question to you,
suffering.
what did they do to stop that war?
Actually,
Since
they started the war, so they are the one who are responsible for all everything.
since our independence, since 1991, when Soviet Union have come to an end, how many presidents did Ukraine have, and how many presidents did Russia have,
Russia has only one president.
and Ukraine?
Ukraine has many in
So,
all these years.
so what did Russians do to prevent this war from happening? To stop this war. And Ukraine is not the only country where Russia invaded or annexed some territories. Uh, Georgia, Moldova, lots of countries. My point is, when you are not happy about something in your life, um, you won't achieve anything by just complaining about it. You have to do something, you have to be the change you want to see. And so far, what I've seen, Russians are just complaining about having issues with, you know, being rejected, not receiving visas, um, their, I don't know, cards are not being accepted by some banks and things like that. But what is it that they have done to change the situation? Because Ukrainians were fighting. Not everyone is at the front line, yes, but I don't think you can find a person who does not donate money, who does not send money to someone they know, someone they used to work with, someone they used to study with. You may not be participating in this war directly, but you do whatever you can to change the situation. What have they done? What is it that Russians are doing to change the situation other than complaining? Because um, by just complaining, you won't achieve anything. You have to be the change you want to see. What have they done to change the situation in their country, to stop the war, to prevent the war, to maybe finally change their president?
They are not doing anything. I never understand why there is no change in president. It's 2025, or I think more than 30 years. The same man is ruling like a dictator.
Yes. So,
So even if elections are happening in Russia, I don't think it's of any use. Instead of saying him president, better they call him Mr. Putin, the king of Russia.
which is why it is very unfair to say that Russians are suffering or that they are suffering even more, because I don't see them doing anything to change the situation. And as I said, um, there's no direct life threat for them or their families. They can peacefully go to bed at night and wake up in the morning without, having the need to change your messengers, to call your family, to text them and to say, "Are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you safe?"
Ola, I'm curious to know, do you have these sirens going on every day in night and the missile sirens and all every day from last 2 years?
Yes, it's a very common thing in Kiev, also in Kiev, especially because Kiev is the capital of Ukraine. It's a very, unfortunately, it is a very common thing. We have sirens each day, two, three, four, five times a day. We have sirens every night. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you have a siren, you will hear some explosions. Sometimes they are more preventive, like uh, there's a missile in our airspace, and you can hear siren in many many cities. It doesn't mean that this one missile is going to target all those cities, right? But you hear that, you go to the shelter, or you don't. Some people stop doing that. But
Does universities, school, colleges is running normally?
usually when there's a siren, they take a break, they go to a bomb shelter, and then when the siren is over, they resume classes or whatever you've been doing. When I go to the office, for example, I work from home, but sometimes when I go to the office, when we have siren, we go to the bomb shelter, we work from there because we have Wi-Fi, and the siren is over, we're going back to the office and continue our work. And for the past, I don't know, for the past year or year and a half, we had siren every night. Drones, Iranian drones every night.
Iranian, okay, Iran gifted drones to Russia. Now I understand.
Yes, Iranian
Do
drones
you
every
have
night.
enough bomb shelters everywhere? No.
No, no. Again, Ukraine is a big country, and we've had our problems before the full scale war. Um, so no, we don't have enough bomb shelters. There are some basic rules, like the rule of two walls. If you live in if you live in an apartment, it's better to go to the corridor so that there is two walls. Um,
Okay.
if you go to a basement, it should have two entrances, because if anything happens and there's only one entrance, you will be blocked. There won't be
Okay.
you won't there won't be a way out for you. So yeah, there are some basic rules you have to follow.
When I'm researching on this topic, I came to know that during second, hard for me to understand how Ukrainians are fighting this war from last 2.5 years. So when I am going through the history, I came to know the Nazi attack, and I came to know that it's the Ukrainians who stopped Nazis, not
Yes,
actually the Russians. It's the population around Ukraine who stopped them. Is it
yes,
true?
yes, that is true. That is true
And the
because
biggest casualties during that time are Ukrainian casualties.
yes, that is true. Back then, Ukraine was part of Soviet Union. It's not a small country. So yes, Ukrainians and Belarusians in Ukrainians in their great majority did fight that war. I remember my grandmother told.
There was a film named Lines. Is Stalingrad, I think, a Hollywood film. It's based on the same war.
If I wanted to learn more about those events, I would rely on some books rather than Hollywood movies.
Hollywood movie. No,
Yes,
I had gone through books only, but because movies are always inside our mind, so I I just use this as a reference.
yes, but movies are made to make money.
And they distort history also. They use history according to them and according to their country.
Yes, but it's their main purpose is entertainment, not educational. I mean, the movies you are talking about.
Do you have any idea where all these friends are, like Alex and all the once the war started, they disappeared from the social media.
Um, it happened for a reason.
So you can say, just want to ask, are they safe?
Yes. Oh,
This
relatively
is
safe.
what I want to know.
Yes, relatively safe.
Because I tried, keep on trying from last 2 years and hard to connect to them. Once I get message from Roman,
Hmm.
and he has his, he's very politically very, strong man. He has his views on each and every issue, and but I don't got time from him. He's like he disappeared after 2 3 minutes of messaging, and he says Rahul will meet soon. And what about Demetri? Is he still teaching?
No, Yuri is teaching.
Yuri. I tell you the actual conditions. Indians are always peace lovers, and they want this war to stop. In my media also, every day, if there is a discussions, the it revolves around the peace and stoppage of this war anyhow, and we feel the pain actually.
Well,
Uh,
we Ukrainians not only want this war to stop as fast as possible, but um, we want Russia to lose. There can be different conditions at what the war stops. So we want Russia to lose, to suffer
Stop
long.
this war.
Yes.
One question, and that is last question, and very funny question. Do you know? Do you have any idea why this war is started? What is the reason behind it? Because we don't know. We just
What?
know that there was exercise going on, and Russia says that we are just doing exercise. We have nothing to do. We have no territorial ambitions. And at once we news started flashing that Russia attacked Ukraine.
I think there's more than just one reason why this war started. Again, Ukraine used to be part of Soviet Union, and they see us. as they see Ukraine as its own lands. They try to play the same scenario as they did with Belarusia, where it's an independent country, but at the same point, it's not. It didn't work with Ukraine. We said that we wanted to sign a treaty with EU. We want to develop and build connections with that side of the world. Russia still sees Ukraine as its territory, as its land, and we are just not willing to obey. And they're by bringing force, they're trying to change that. Um, Ukraine's got resources, a lot of resources, agricultural resources, human resources. We've got gas, we've got oil. Yes, it's not as much as Russia's got on the scale
And
of Europe.
all the pipelines of Russian pipelines, gas pipelines, go through Ukraine to European Union, and Russia pays a big amount as a no charge for that. Maybe I'm right or wrong. It's around $20 billion a year.
I'm
Do
not
you
aware.
think this is one of the reasons?
This is not the main reason. This is not one of the main reasons. But as I said, first of all, they view Ukraine as its land and Ukrainians as uh, people who are disobeying. And by applying some force, you can change that. That's what they think. As a resource supplement, agricultural, uh,
I think Ukraine is full of resources and self-sufficient country. They have all the resources they need.
for the most part, yes.
Thank you very much for joining me, and hope we'll meet soon for its next part. And thank you, Ola. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Bye. बस यूं ही जानना चाहता हूँ, सुनना चाहता हूँ कि ट्रांसलेशन करोगे या नहीं करोगे?
Yes.
I'm not
Don't make joke out of it. Achha, wait. Let me finish. Now I want to see your military cap. Show me. Show me
no,
the camera.
don't do this. Don't do this. Stop this.